Hello there, beautiful people out there in beautiful land. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is Toxis. And what do we got going
on? I'm making bread.
Yes.
I'm making bread successfully, I think.
Yeah, for the first time.
Maybe.
I'm very proud of you.
Apparently I'm a natural kneader.
Natural kneader. K-N-E-A-D.
I don't know if I should be excited about that or if that makes me slightly molesty.
No, it just makes you a baker. Sorry about that. There's a lot of small-dicked men out with their loud cars today, if you can hear that.
A little out of control, yeah.
Total offense to men with loud cars. Anyway, Hannah Banana, you are going to Ontario soon?
Mm-hmm. I leave in, I don't know.
T-minus
like 5 days, 6 days?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not very long. I got everything in order, though, and I finally got a ride to the airport, so all I got to do is pack.
How long has it been since you flew?
2018. Christmas of 2018.
Are you scared?
A little nervous.
Oh, yeah?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And I've never flown this particular airline.
Take a half an Ativan. You'll be fine.
I've never needed one before.
Well, if you're a little bit nervous, that's...
I mean, I usually just wait till I'm about to die and then I calm down. It's pretty okay.
I take an Ativan to fly.
I don't.
It doesn't bother me anymore. Well, I don't like taking off.
That's my favorite part.
Oh, no, I don't like it.
Feeling that, like...
I don't like the speed.
Against your seat and
I
you
don't
feel like
that.
You're being held down. That's the part I like. It's landing that scares me.
See, landing doesn't bother me. And turbulence doesn't bother me. But it's the fucking taking off.
Well, I just hope the weather is good. There isn't a lot of turbulence. I've never had to deal with a shitty flight.
Yeah.
So, hopefully I don't get sat next to a buffalo that takes up most of my seat, because that's what happened last time.
That sucks.
And I was like...
Did you choose your seat?
Hugged against the window like this, because half of her was in my seat.
Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable.
Did you choose your seat, or did you? Are you window?
This time, no.
Oh.
This time I didn't pick.
I always do, because I don't want to be in the middle. I hate being in the middle.
I'm not paying an extra $60 each flight. So
$60?
I don't care enough.
Fuck. On WestJet, it's like $20.
Yeah, well, this was a different airline, and $1,000 of the flight was paid for by somebody else. So I wasn't complaining because it was credit from a canceled previous flight.
Right. Yeah.
So I only had to pay $225 of a $1,200 flight.
That's not bad. On WestJet, you probably only would have paid about $500 both ways.
Yeah, it was the same amount on WestJet, but there wasn't a $978
Oh, this close
credit.
to it. Yeah, this close to the date. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, because I always book like a couple months in advance, and it's really cheap.
Yeah, but I didn't have that opportunity.
No,
my best friend's
you couldn't.
mom died.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
All
complicated.
right. Are you ready to get into this?
I guess so.
This is part 3.
I know.
And the final part, for now, of Canada's genocide. The residential schools and the horrible things that the Canadian government and, of course, good old Christians did to Indigenous peoples. All right. So as I said, this is part 3. Let's get into it.
Mm-hmm.
As we've talked about in the 2 previous parts of this series, there were any number of ways that the federal government and Christian churches assaulted and even murdered Indigenous children. Tuberculosis ran rampant in the residential schools, and healthy children were deliberately put in close quarters with sick children as a way to kill them off. Now, just to let everyone know, tuberculosis, or TB, is caused by a bacterium called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The bacteria usually attacks the lungs, but TB bacteria can attack any part of the body, such as the kidney, spine, and brain. Not everyone infected with TB bacteria becomes sick, just like pretty much any illness like that, some people are just carriers.
Mm-hmm.
The symptoms of active tuberculosis disease include a bad cough that lasts longer than 2 weeks, makes you cough up blood sometimes, makes you cough up phlegm sometimes. And then it says what phlegm is, but I think everyone knows what phlegm is.
If you don't, then there's something probably wrong with you.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Chest pain, weakness or tiredness, weight loss, a lack of appetite, chills, fevers, night sweats. Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
Sounds like a really bad flu.
Yeah.
Except for the coughing up blood.
Yeah. In 1907, Dr. Peter Bryce released his controversial report on the Indian schools of Manitoba and the Northwest Territories, revealing that 24% of all native residential school students had died of TB. 24%.
Wow.
That's crazy. Bryce also declared that 93% of the children in residential schools had tuberculosis, but only 10 cents per child was spent on combating the disease. This is atrocious when you know that $3 was spent on every white Canadian to fight the same disease. Furthermore,
10 cents. It's not even like 25%.
No. Furthermore, the Canadian federal government deliberately overcrowded the schools and actively encouraged the subpar conditions the children were forced to live in. Oh, by the way, the feds also put pressure on the CTA, Canadian Tuberculosis Association, to, shall we say, look the other way.
Well, I mean, your government tells you what food groups to eat now and tells you what you should or shouldn't eat, and there's actual blatant information on the Heart Association's website about eating deli meats, and they're considered a class 1 carcinogen, just like cigarettes. These societies are full of shit.
So
They're lies, and all the nitrites and all the chemicals are preservatives in it. So these societies that are trying to prevent these supposed diseases, same with the diabetes website, are telling you to eat shit that's going to kill you, that's going to make you sicker. They don't care. It's literally atrocious.
Yeah. It is, yeah. Most governments don't care about
the government's rainbow
people
that you're supposed to eat.
Yeah.
It's bullshit too. It's just bullshit. They don't care. They want you to get sick. They want you to die, and they don't want you to collect your CPP, but they want you to pay into it.
Oh, of course, yeah. A.R. Lett was a steadfast believer in the schools and principal of the Anglican St. George School in, I think this is Lytton, BC?
Yep.
Lytton.
I actually know a kid. I played video games with a kid that lives there.
Okay, good.
And
so I'm saying it right.
Fires recently. Yeah, it's Lytton.
That sucks. He said about the horrible conditions there, quote, "The children were lean, anemic, and TB glands were running in many cases. The children were ill-clothed and turned out into the cold to work and without leadership. Dormitories in bad repair, no cleaning had been done for years, floors worn out in many places, ventilation poor, beds absent or broken down. Small wonder parents had to be forced to place their children here," unquote. Mabel Sport was at the Christie School, Mears Island, from 1935 to 1944. She remembered,
"The food was always rotten and inedible. The dorms were always cold, and we were never ever given winter clothing. They starved us and froze us until we all came down sick. I can't even stand to look at nuns anymore. They were trying to deliberately infect us with TB because they always made me sleep in the same bed with girls who had it, one on each side of me. I was so scared, so I slept turned away from them, even under the bed sometimes. I'd always open the windows too, but the nuns would come and close them and even nail them shut."
which is insane because fresh air helps battle TB, but, whatever. Apparently the children of chiefs or tribal blue bloods were treated the worst when it came to beatings, tortures, and rapes. This is not to say that all the kids weren't subject to this, because they were, and at any age too. The nuns would conduct bed checks and beat some kids for no reason. There were organized gang rapes of children of all ages. Organized gang rapes. These pieces of human garbage are supposed to be representatives of a benevolent God. What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't know, after hearing shit like this, how you can still believe in God. Whatever. Del Riley, a survivor, said,
I spent 5 years in what the Canadian government calls residential schools, but they were really prisoner of war camps. I was in the one they called Mohawk Institute. They starved us, beat us, they froze us. It was horrific. There were no controls in place. Kids were always getting beat up or being put through various torture rituals. A lot of the kids were tortured in there. They were made to hold on to hot pipes until they couldn't hold on anymore, or they just fell on the floor from the roof. They were beaten when anyone felt like it, and made to hold on to electric fences.
Jeez.
I would love to see the perpetrators severely punished for all of this. The greatest thing I would want to see is the Church of England to get barred from practicing in Canada.
Yep, fucking A. Peter Yellowquill, which, that's a really cool name. Peter Yellowquill was a prisoner at both the Brandon and Portage La Prairie United Schools in Manitoba. On March 5th, 2007, he was interviewed at the Brandon School.
I've driven through there.
Can you imagine the
I've
fucking memories?
in that city repeatedly every time I've driven home and back.
The fucking...
I know exactly where that is, actually.
To be interviewed in the same place where you were hurt so bad. Yeah. Ugh, anyway. Interviewed at the Brandon School, he said...
But when you enter through these doors, you're like a dead kid walking, a dead man walking. You're not human. Your history means nothing. Your childhood means nothing. They had their choice of victims. Here in the washroom, the molestations would go on in here also. There was absolutely no place to run. The children were absolutely defenseless. The RCMP, even if they were told, they wouldn't have come. There's no record of the RCMP ever laying one charge against the pedophiles, against the people who assaulted us and assaulted our friends. I mean, beat them down. Oh, that sounds familiar. They don't come when I call them either. There isn't just a few slaps on the wrist, boards, 2x4s, whips, anything, even shovels. And not one charge has ever been laid. We don't know where the graveyard is. We don't know where the bodies are. But if it's like Brandon, we know that there's bodies out there. There was absolutely no reason for these places except one thing. Genocide.
Mm-hmm.
George Brown, who survived the Catholic Coelitza school, I don't know how to pronounce that, in British Columbia says, when we got to the residential school, we never did go to school. We were never fed. We were always starving, and the mental abuse was there, the physical abuse, and they treated us like animals. They'd throw food at us. Kids would be screaming throughout the night, and the screams never stopped. So we lived in constant fear.
Jesus. Every member of the staff was made to carry a leather belt with them at all times. If they didn't carry it, or wouldn't use it, they would be fired. The principal, who would normally be a clergyman of some sort, had absolute power over the hirings and firings at the school. If one showed empathy, or sympathy, or refused to beat a child, they would be fired. In the 1960s, Marion McFarland worked at the Port Alberta United Church School in BC. She recalled,
Marion McFarland was one such staffer. Speaking at a public forum in Vancouver in early 1998, she described her experience at the United Church School in Port Alberta in the mid-1960s. I only worked at the school for 9 months until I got canned by the principal, Mr. Andrews. It happened because I saved the life of a little girl. One morning I came across one of the other matrons beating this girl viciously with a piano leg. The blood was flying. It was terrible, so I grabbed the woman and I belted her and knocked her cold. But then I got called before Andrews and he fired me for hitting the woman. Me, not the one beating the girl.
Isn't that awful?
Well, when I objected to Andrews and said how she was killing that little girl, Andrews just smiled and said, nothing that would have happened to that little squaw would have been as bad as losing your colleague. She plays the organ in church on Sundays. That showed me where the children ranked in the scheme of things. We were expected to go along and let them die if we wanted to keep our jobs.
She plays the organ. Fuck off. Should have shoved that fucking leg right up her fucking arms. Documented missions in the years 1919, 1924, 1937, and 1952 show that children with tuberculosis were let into the school without examinations or screening in Alberta and BC. These two provinces were also leading in the schools that routinely practiced germ warfare, sexual sterilization, and medical experiments on Indigenous kids throughout the 20th century. This shit may have still been going on when I was born in 1975. That's not all that long ago. Or it doesn't seem like that to me anyway.
No.
This shit was also going on at hospitals in BC. Hospitals run by, you guessed it, the government and the Christian church. Kids were deliberately infected with TB, then doctors and scientists would study them as they suffered, and then ultimately died. Children were also being used as test subjects in drug testing. That's interesting, because they did this in Nazi Germany, too.
I was just going to say, it sounds like Germans.
Let me reiterate once again, these were children whose only crime was not being white on their ancestral land stolen from their people.
We called them the Goon Squad. Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong page. My bad. If the schools are to be conducted at all, we must face the fact that a large number of the pupils will suffer from tuberculosis. While it is true that they die at a much higher rate after entering the schools, such is in keeping with the policy of this department, which is geared towards the final solution of the Indian problem. And that is from a letter of the Indian Affairs Deputy Superintendent Duncan Campbell Scott to Major D. McKay, the inspector of the Indian schools in British Columbia, March 7th, 1910.
Now, see what he said there? The final solution to the Indian question?
Of the Indian problem.
Of the Indian problem?
That sounds awfully familiar.
Doesn't it, though?
Yeah.
The final solution to the Jewish question. They got it from us. Not us. I don't want to put myself in that fucking category. But they got it from
possibly
Europeans. Pretty gross, eh? Genocide is never accomplished in one full swoop, nor is it done in a few isolated incidents. It is accomplished with purpose in ever-continuing incidents. This is clearly shown in the residential schools, year after year, decade after decade. The despicable living conditions, malnourishment, deliberate spread of disease, and outright murder was never made any better despite doctors' warnings, protests, and desperate calls for improvement. These are some quotes dating back to 1896 all the way into the 1960s.
It is remarked that many children, apparently healthy on their admission to the different schools, are affected with tuberculosis. Our charges lack the most elementary requirements of sanitation and any fresh food whatsoever. Nothing is being done to provide for the children who are even forced out of the doors in winters. Of 163 students, 98 of them are sick with the pox and the rest are too ill to attend classes. Oh, that one actually had classes.
Fuck.
Since the home started, 49 had died and 50 were still alive. The children were lean, anemic, and TB glands were running in many cases. I think I heard that. During the past winter, 13 pupils of the school have died, 4 of whom were buried in the past 3 weeks.
13 in one winter.
Yep. And
Fuck.
4 in less than a month. That's 1 in less than a week. The nature of the present water supply and the so-called toilet system is a positive menace to health, and it is not to be wondered that there has been in recent years a very unusual number of deaths. This building can only be described as a fire trap and a menace to health. Sanitary arrangements are terrible. That one's referring to Port Alberni.
Fuck.
Children in residential schools are inclined to grow away from the life of the Indian band and are unable to fit in anywhere as functioning citizens. Under the present arrangements, the school does not remotely satisfy the usually accepted standards of sanitation. I have therefore decided to condemn the buildings of the residential school as unsuitable.
Fuck.
When children were sick at the residential school at Le Jacques, they were not kept separate from the other children. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Morale was very low among the children, who were generally sick, listless, and withdrawn, no doubt because of the harsh regime of punishments they must endure.
Then no food and fuck, man.
This last one says, the overcrowded and unhealthy quarters in which the boys are expected to live have not improved since our last inspection a year ago. Over a year ago.
Jesus. Those poor fucking children.
Like rancid or contaminated food, insufficient clothing, unheated, unventilated rooms, permanent isolation from their families, a daily environment of violence, racism, random, undeserved punishments, exposure, like regular exposure to sick children and people who had smallpox or tuberculosis.
Yeah.
No medical care or examinations. No visits by government agents or care workers. Continual physical and sexual assault. Regular deaths of fellow students that are never investigated, and being punished for speaking their own language. That includes like extreme torture, not just, I'm going to smack you on the head with this ruler.
Fuck.
Oh, well, don't forget to add forced unpaid labor. Let's put that on top.
Yeah. Starting in 1997, 1,200 residential school survivors from 7 different provinces were interviewed about their time in these prisons. 358 of those interviewed agreed to having their statements made public. Between 1932 and 1981, in spanning 38 different schools, these are the common experiences these children suffered. Putrid, soured, or contaminated food, lack of proper clothing, permanent isolation from family and loved ones, daily systematic violence, racism, extreme stress, and punishments for absolutely no wrongdoings, exposure to sick and dying children, as Hannah just said, the flu, smallpox, TB.
Oh, I don't think I added the flu there, but yes.
Very little medical care. Well, the flu was so bad then, Like so many people died from it way back when. Minimal visits by government officials or care workers, almost daily sexual and physical abuse, regular deaths of fellow students, punished and tortured for speaking their native language, and forced and unpaid labor. I know she just read that.
I think I may have got ahead of myself there.
But I wanted to read it again.
Yep.
Just to really put it out there. In March of 2007, Edmonton school survivor Sylvester Green said of his time and the conditions at the schools, quote, "We can never recover from what they did to us, and now what we're doing to ourselves. The worst part is we passed on everything to our children. The alcoholism, the drugs, the violence, and the rape. All this healing talk is just for white people," unquote. According to an Indian Affairs study published in the Globe and Mail on October 12, 1998, if anybody from Canada, the Globe and Mail is a pretty big fucking publication here in Canada, so if they were grouped as a nation, Indigenous people living on reservations in Canada rated 63rd in standard of living. This is lower than Mexico and Thailand. Additionally, Indigenous people live off of reserves only ranked 35th. Among the 1,737 cases of active TB reported in 2016, the incidence among the non-Indigenous Canadian-born population was 0.6 per 100,000 population, 8% of total cases, compared with 15.2 among the foreign-born population, 70% of total cases, and 23.5 among Canadian-born Indigenous people, 19% of total cases. That's people.
Yeah, I was going to say foreign-born. Does that
people,
mean anybody who came here that's not
exactly.
from here? So that could be any kind of European, like Ukrainian, Indian,
anyone,
Asian, Australian, whoever comes here is the foreign chunk?
Yep. And this is in 2016.
That's not very long ago. That's almost 10 years.
Our Indigenous people living in a first world country, 19% of them have TB. That is fucking insane.
Yeah, how?
That's insane. Carol Martin from the Downtown Native Women's Center in Vancouver, BC said, quote, "You're 50 times more likely than a white person to die from poverty or disease if you're an Indian in Canada, and over 200 times more likely to be in prison. Nearly half of the inmates in Canada are Indians, and we're just 2% of the population. Hundreds of our women have gone missing, and their disappearance is being covered up by the police, and they say genocide is a thing of the past." Unquote. Here is just a little rotten food for thought. The Indian Act of Canada is still in effect. The Canadian government's way of enacting genocide on a whole nation of people is still in effect. What the actual fuck, Canada? That being said, Bill C-38 seeks to address the inequity of an enfranchisement, enable deregistration by application, eliminate sex-based inequities in the membership provisions of the Indian Act, remove some outdated and offensive language from the Indian Act. Because they're probably calling them fucking savages and shit like that, and they're like,
Oh, God,
fucking assholes. However, this bill was put on the table on December 14th, 2022. It's been over a year. Can you look up and see if that passed or anything?
What is it?
Bill C-38. Can we pass this already? Can we burn the fucking Indian Act? Can we get some restitution for our Indigenous brothers and sisters? Can we get more than a pathetic apology from the Pope? There must be some way we can find some of the priests and nuns and any other pieces of shit that hurt and killed thousands of beautiful children, not to mention the survivors that have been plagued by memories, nightmares, flashbacks, trying to numb the pain any way they can and creating systemic multi-generational problems. Go ahead. If you found it. Sorry, I should have asked first. Nothing? We, Canada, as a country, have to come together and end the racism, end the stigmas, and stand together with our Indigenous countrymen. They need to have the same, if not more, rights on their ancestral lands. Have you found anything?
Oh, that's why I'm having a hard time with it. It's the legacy of the former Bill C-38.
Okay.
It's now called Bill S-2.
Okay.
S-2. So, May 29th, 2025, they introduced Bill S-2 into the Senate to continue efforts to address remaining inequities in the Indian Act.
So they never did pass... Oh my fucking God, come on!
It's currently stalled and slow-moving, but it's now called Bill S-2.
Currently stalled and slow-moving.
Yeah.
Get your fucking asses in gear.
And this is an update as of September 26, 2025. So they dissolved, they tried to introduce it, but Parliament was dissolved in March 2025, so it never made it through.
Mm-hmm.
So now the proposed amendments are still the same thing, but at this time, they can't be applied. It's at a standstill, basically, with what's going on in the government. Yeah. You have to apply for a registration name change if you want. You can apply to this website, to the Canadian government website.
The Truth and Reconciliation Commission identified 1,953 children, probably more now, 477 where additional investigation is required, and an additional 1,242 students who have known to have died, but their names are not yet known. An estimated 6,000 children died at residential schools. Records are incomplete. How many residential schools were there in Canada? In total, over 130 residential schools operated in Canada between 1831 and 1996. 130 residential schools. Just in Canada. That's not including the States. Because they had their own residential schools there. Their own dead kids. Their own fucking tortures. If you want to donate money to help Canada's Indigenous community, here are just a few sites. the Native Women's Association of Canada, Indigenous Awareness Canada, the Gord Downie and Cheney Wenjack Fund, and the It Starts With Us -MMIW, that's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women.com. And remember, every child matters. What do you think, Cam?
It's awful.
I threw a lot of statistics at everyone there.
Yeah.
In the last three
I just found a little bit here
episodes.
that says, as of late 23-24, early 2024, the bill remains a point of discussion with the Indigenous Services Canada, committing to further engagement on broader registration issues. It says the AFN continues to monitor S-2 and advocate for better resource allocation for First Nations to participate in these significant decisions, but it's slow moving and nothing has actually happened.
Fuck. Well, people gotta get their asses in gear, man. Come on. Enough is enough.
It didn't get passed.
It's been well over
Parliament
fucking
dissolved.
200 years.
And what happens the next time they try to pass it? Will Parliament dissolve again? Was that on purpose?
Yeah, like,
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to politics. I don't know enough about it. I avoid it because I think they're all hot garbage. I work for our government, our provincial government, not our federal government, and I don't trust them.
well, if you have any brains at all, you wouldn't trust your government.
No. What you should be able to.
Not completely.
You should be able to, though. There's certain countries that are thriving quite well.
Oh, yeah.
They do trust their government.
Oh, yeah, but I'm
should
talking
be like
about,
that.
like, North America.
Yeah, no. It should be that way.
Well,
but
Canada
it's
and the
not.
States, I don't know any politics in Mexico, so. But I certainly I definitely wouldn't trust the federal government in the States.
I definitely don't.
And I definitely don't trust our Alberta's provincial government right now, because they're all just fucking crooked maple MAGA.
Mexico
all they are.
has a federal presidential republic
And
with power divided among executive and legislative judicial branches.
And their president is a woman right now.
Apparently there's serious corruption, though.
Oh yeah, it's Mexico, of course. You know
Welcome
much
to
of
Canada. Welcome to the U.S.
Yeah, but it's a little different with Mexico because I think the cartels have a lot of fucking politicians in their back pockets. I would imagine. Same in like certain South American countries and shit like that.
Well, and
I would imagine.
some of them are kind of dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
Military dictatorship, and then some of them are democracy. So
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of fighting going on.
Yeah. And now
Drug.
fucking Trump, asshole, is trying to fucking make war with Venezuela.
For what?
Drugs, he says. But it's got to be something else. They got to have oil or something. Something like that. It has to be something else. It's not just drugs. He's already bombed a few of their ships. Because he said, or that government said there was drugs on there. Okay?
Don't you need proof before you can just
Apparently
bomb
not anymore.
somebody's ships?
Apparently not anymore.
What?
There was a few people hanging off the ship, and they shot them. You're not allowed to do that. Because there's rules to making war, of course. And you're not allowed to do that.
Well, and are they in our waters? Are they in open water?
They're probably in international waters.
What part of the ocean are they in, and is that even legal?
I would imagine, international waters.
I don't know.
I would imagine, but I don't know exactly where they were bombed. But yeah, that's what's happening.
He's insane.
I think he just wants to. He's picking a war with a tiny little country compared to the States. Like army-wise, military. Sorry, couldn't think of the word.
I just don't understand.
Military-wise, because their military is gonna fucking. What does Venezuela have for military compared to the States?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
The States spends more on military than the next 10 countries combined. So, yeah, it's pretty fucking sick. But anyway, I digress. I'm not in the States. I'm Canadian. But if this Danielle Smith shit keeps going on, Alberta might just be fucking American.
No.
And then I leave. I'm moving to fucking Denmark or some shit.
Venezuela's military ranks 50th globally, around 100 to 150,000 active, plus large militias.
There you go.
And Russian-sourced hardware.
Mm-hmm. There you go, eh? All right, this has been kind of a short episode today, but, I mean, our psyches and our mental health can only take so much of children being tortured and murdered and what have you. So this is going to be it for the residential schools for a while. I may continue the series, but we'll have to see how mine and Hannah's mental health looks after a couple weeks of this being in our heads. Yeah.
It's been rough and eye-opening for me anyway, because I didn't do the research. So I didn't know any of it.
I had to stop so many times doing this research to cry, to just fucking stand out on the balcony in the cold and have a cigarette or something. Like,
and feel disgusted.
Yeah. My poor sons, like, I'd be like, do you know that this happened? And, Mom, why are you telling me this? Because I can't live it alone. Fuck. Okay, I'm going to pass this over to Hannah and she can wrap us up.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in today. We explored the final section of our 3-part Canadian genocide for residential schools. It's been tough. It's been sad for all of my Indigenous friends, because I have quite a few.
Me too.
I'm truly sorry.
Yeah.
For
Me too.
everything. I couldn't even express any condolences for something so terrible. So
it's hard to come up with words for something that expansive.
Right?
Like,
it's like trying to apologize to a Jewish person whose relative went through what she did in Auschwitz. Like, how do you even begin to apologize for that? I don't know.
There are no words. The English language doesn't have words big enough to encompass something like that.
Somebody who works in community support and tries to help Indigenous people, that's how I send my condolences, I guess. I don't know. I try to help everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes they tell me to go fuck myself or pee on my floor. But sometimes they're happy and they cry and they thank me. So
yeah.
It's worth it. Anyways, if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, follow, and drop us a like. If you would like to help fund our toxicity, jump on over to ko-fi.com/toxispot. And next week, I believe we will be doing a surprise Reddit by Stacy.
Yeah, bitches.
And then after that, a Christmas special.
Yeah, bitches.
So don't miss it. And as always, we will see you then, baneful brethren.
We love you guys, and sorry about the sad ones, but it has to be told. And come back next week, man. Bye.